Well, Child Protection Week has been launched at the Children's Memorial, at the Children's Memorial Institute in Johannesburg. This year's theme is working together to end violence against children. The Institute was launching their ongoing efforts to develop the Children's Memorial Institute into a center of excellence in the support of vulnerable, disabled and neurodiverse children. The CEO of the organization, Dr. D. Blackie, says their plan is to launch a creative workshop for disabled and communities. Also, the event was to shed more light on those parents who have children who are neurodiverse and also to give them tips on how to deal with such children. All right, I beg your pardon there. All right, so we've roped in Save the Children South Africa's Margaret Zulu as well as Peggie Mars, founder of Wheel Well, to speak around Child Protection Week. A very good afternoon to you both. Margaret, I want to begin with you. As tomorrow marks the start of Child Protection Week, when you consider the kind of violence leveled against children, I mean, child kidnapping has been brought firmly on the spotlight, especially as you consider the sentencing in the Jocelyn Smith trial that's ongoing at the moment. What is Save the Children South Africa's focus during this year's program? What should we be focusing on?
Thank you very much. As Save the Children South Africa, we're deeply concerned at how unsafe different settings are for children. Children are not safe in their homes. Children are not safe in schools. And so our priority is to prevent any form of violence against children. And so we have programming to support parents and caregivers to ensure that they do not have any form of violence against children. We also work with the Department of Social Development. We are working with children's networks to ensure that we continuously raise awareness, but people are also aware, including communities, aware of where to report violence, but not only that, to call each other to account when, for instance, harsh punishment of children is happening in the home. I want to give context to this by looking at the statistics by the South African Police Services for the third quarter of 2024-2025 financial year, where it was reported that 877 children were murdered and 6,484 children were assaulted between October 2022 and December 2024. Let me bring you to the attention of the last quarter of December, between October 2024 and December, where we had 273 children murdered. This is a crisis. We cannot afford in the home to continue with violence against children. We see corporal punishment happening in the homes, and we see that also happening in schools. Cases have been reported, but we need to do more when it comes to protections of children.
Margaret, I want to come back to those statistics a little bit later on, but Peggie, let me bring you in also. I mean, your focus is primarily on children in road safety. Just how bad is the situation on the ground? I mean, when you consider just how many children lose their lives in scholar transportation or while walking to school, even in most provinces, but we also see a lot of violations in just ordinary family car situations. Speak to us about your environment.
Certainly. Wheel Well is an NGO that focuses exclusively on children in road safety, and that is because children have a very specific profile in and around vehicles. Last year, 1,145 children died as a result of road crashes. About a third of that is children as passengers, and 2/3 children as pedestrians. Now, these are vulnerable children walking to school on dark winter mornings, and motorists can't see them. We need to make children visible, and we need to get children within vehicles in car seats, and we need school transport that is safe for children. Children, when they walk to school in the dark, they're not just prone to vehicle crashes, they are vulnerable to predators, they are vulnerable to kidnapping. And we need to make sure that our children can get to and from school safely and that they can play after school in safe areas.
Margaret, you spoke a lot about, the statistics and what they are beginning to tell us in terms of just the patterns of violence around children. I want to bring it to the level of children as young as those that are going into ECD centers or early childhood development centers. I mean, I was reading a report just earlier on about how these centers are frequently underestimated as simple drop-off points for working parents, and a lot of these children are then given to these caregivers for some level of protection with little coming from parents. What are parents doing wrong in as far as looking after their children? I want to reference again the Jocelyn Smith case that we've seen. I mean, her mother is one of the accused. She's been found guilty and her sentencing is currently ongoing.
That's an important question. What we have learned in our work is that a child is harmed mostly by the person known to the family, the person who is supposed to be protecting them. We encourage families, parents, caregivers to vet those those transporting their children. They need to check how safe that transportation is in terms of checking the safety of schools. We know that there are standard operating procedures, there's protections even in the school for the children. However, we need to ask ourselves, why does violence continue to happen in these spaces, especially by the people who are supposed to be protecting these children? That is why at Save the Children, we are focusing a lot more on child safeguarding within the schools. We are assisting schools with child safeguarding policies and ensuring that this policy is not just on paper, but it is implemented and the school governing body is able to hold the caregivers, the school teachers accountable. But the parents are also encouraged not only to be supported, but they're encouraged to listen to their children. A child, when they come from school, they would, for instance, let you know that something happened to me. I'm not happy. If we are not checking and we are the ones that perpetuate this violence by, for instance, shouting at the child, hitting the child at home, we are not helping.
Yeah.
We are not helping in the home as well.
Peggie, let's talk about the importance of strapping a child into a car seat. I mean, just the practicalities. When, of course, you hear of the horror stories from paramedics who are first to arrive at the scene of accidents, you then begin to realize just how vulnerable children are. Your work, I mean, you work a lot around donating car seats and helping to paint a picture to motorists about the importance of car seats.
Children are especially vulnerable in vehicles. That is because children are smaller in stature than we are, and the skulls have not fully hardened yet. Now, we all know about the soft spot at the top of your child's head, and there's one at the back as well, the fontanelles. That is an indication that the skull plates have not grown together yet, and there's bits of the skull where it is just membrane that protects the brain. So until the skull is hardened, and that is only when your child is a teenager, you have to protect your child's head. And within the vehicle, that is through a car seat, because the seatbelt in the vehicle is designed to keep the adult safe. And an adult is a person of 1.5 meters and taller. So if your child is shorter than that, they have to be in a car seat. And you have to start your car seat journey with that infant seat, the seat with a handle that you can carry around, because that seat is specifically designed to keep a vulnerable newborn safe. And from there you progress as your child grows through the different stages to a toddler seat, and then lastly a booster seat. Booster seat is the area of least compliance, and that is also the sector where most child passengers die in crashes. That is children between the age of 5 and 14. So they are incredibly vulnerable. That child standing between the seats in a car while parents are driving is hugely at risk of serious injury, even just at a sudden stop.
Very quickly, ladies, as we wrap our conversation, I'm going to give you 30 seconds each just to give us your last remarks. I mean, the theme for this year is working together to end violence against children. Very quickly, in terms of working together, Margaret, what should we be doing and focusing on this week?
Our call to action is system strengthening. Our work should be coordinated at all levels, community level, provincial level, national level, and cross-border level. We need to work together. When a case is reported, we all need to prioritize and work together. We are also not, we also looking at the case of online safety.
Yeah.
It is happening also in the digital environment, and safety of children, and we need to prioritize that and put protections in place for children, both at home and in other settings. Thank you.
Margaret, thank you so much for that. Peggie, your last comments, particularly around the help from other motorists in terms of car seats.
Certainly. If there's any parents out there who has a car seat gathering dust at the back of a cupboard or in the garage, please consider donating it to us. It is as easy as dropping it off at your closest super quick dealership. Skynet will bring that seat to our front door, and when we will clean that seat and make sure it is safe before it goes to a child and a family that's less privileged.
I want to thank you both for your time. Really do appreciate it. Save the Children South Africa's Margaret Zulu, as well as Peggie Mars, founder of Wheel Well. Of course, a very important discussion, this, particularly as the ladies have brought both in a number of points to protect the children.